In 2013, there was this frustrated dad sitting in his living room, just desperately scrolling through YouTube.
Right.
And he was just trying to find a decent Elmo video to, like, pacify his 2-year-old daughter. He was exhausted. He was annoyed by the search bar, all of it.
A very familiar feeling for parents, I imagine.
Exactly. And that incredibly mundane, highly relatable moment of parental fatigue ended up triggering a $340 million paradigm shift in how humanity watches television. So, welcome to Off the Record. I am your host, joined as always by our resident expert, and today we are taking you on a deep dive to trace that exact shift.
It really is a remarkable trajectory to map out. We are essentially going to trace the entire path of a video signal from its origin to its final destination.
Right, an end-to-end journey.
Exactly, starting with the invisible, highly complex digital pipes that actually deliver the content. Specifically, we'll look at the IPTV architecture and the really rigorous security protocols that defend it.
And from those pipes, we are going to move into the massive free streaming platforms that are currently dominating your screens. We're going to dissect the business models of services like Pluto TV and Tubi.
And finally, we are going to journey into the human mind itself. We'll be analyzing a genuinely fascinating psychological study on binge watching to understand why exactly we are so utterly captivated by this medium.
Because you really can't stop watching. And to do this, we have some incredible sources for you. We are pulling from technical routing documentation from Juniper Networks.
We also have the ITUT guidelines on global IPTV security architectures, which is dense but fascinating.
Very dense. Plus the corporate histories of the major streaming platforms, some really intense comprehensive privacy scans of those exact applications, and the Carolyn Wilson study on binge watching, depression, and anxiety.
It is a lot of ground to cover.
It is. So to give you a mental framework before we really get into it, think of this as the television evolutionary chain. If you think about traditional broadcast television, it was essentially like throwing a million identical flyers out of an airplane.
Just hoping they land on someone's lawn.
Exactly. Just hoping someone looks up. It was a completely blind, one-to-many distribution. But modern IPTV, it's completely different. IPTV is like a personalized, heavily armed courier service, delivering a very specific, meticulously tracked package directly to your living room sofa.
While taking very detailed notes on exactly how you open it.
Right. By the end of this deep dive, you will understand exactly how that package gets to you, how your attention is being monetized, and why you literally cannot put it down.
It is a highly accurate framing because the shift from broadcast to internet protocol television, it really represents a migration to an active, managed, and highly interactive delivery system.
Now, before we get into the heavy architecture of all that,
I
should acknowledge a slight environmental factor. You might hear the subtle sound of ice and glass today.
Yes, we are recording this particular deep dive quite late in the evening.
Very late. And we've elected to accompany our analysis with a late-night recording beverage, just to, lubricate the vocal cords for a really dense topic.
Strictly professional, of course. It's a well-deserved refreshment given the absolute density of the network protocols we are about to decode. So, cheers to you and to you listening.
Cheers. Okay, so let's start with the physical reality of the internet. Because to understand how free streaming conquered the globe, we have to understand the technology that actually made it possible to squeeze a television into a telephone line.
Which, back in the 1990s, was considered a mathematical impossibility.
Right, people thought it was crazy.
Because it was an engineering bottleneck of the highest order. If you look at the raw data, an uncompressed digital television signal required a bandwidth of about 200 megabits per second.
And the pipes just weren't big enough.
Exactly. The existing infrastructure, meaning the copper telephone wires running into everyone's homes, they could only handle a fraction of a megabit for voice signals. The pipe was simply too small for the water.
So how did they fix it? They basically attacked it from two sides simultaneously. They made the pipe slightly bigger, and they made the water significantly smaller.
Yes. First, the telecom engineers developed asymmetric digital subscriber line transmission, ADSL.
ADSL, right.
They realized that voice calls only use the very lowest frequencies on a copper wire, which is under 4 kilohertz. So they manipulated the higher, completely unused frequencies on that exact same wire to carry digital data.
Which expanded the capacity, right?
Exactly. It expanded it to about 2 megabits per second, and it did that without disrupting the phone service at all.
But, 2 megabits is still a really long way from the 200 megabits a TV signal actually requires.
Right. And this is where the compression algorithms come in. And this is truly brilliant engineering. The H.26x and MPEG formats use something called motion-compensated DCT.
Discrete cosine transform.
Yes, video compression. Because rather than sending 30 full, completely distinct pictures every single second, the algorithm analyzes the video and actually predicts movement.
So it only transmits what changes.
Precisely. It only transmits the pixels that change between frames. So if an anchor is sitting at a news desk, the algorithm doesn't keep sending the data for the desk in the background over and over. It only sends the data for the anchor's moving mouth.
This is so smart. It just stops rendering the desk.
Right. That interframe prediction is what dropped the required bandwidth from 200 megabits all the way down to a manageable 2 megabits.
So the mathematical compression met the physical ADSL expansion perfectly in the middle.
Exactly. Companies like Precept Software with their IP/TV application in 1995 and telecom providers like US West launching TeleChoice in 98, they proved it was viable.
Which brings us to the modern era, where obviously those copper wires have largely been replaced by fiber. But the fundamental challenge of routing that data is still there, because if you are watching live television over an IP network today, you are relying on a managed network.
Managed network, yes.
And this is crucial for you to understand. This isn't the open, chaotic internet where your YouTube video buffers because your neighbor is downloading a massive video game file.
No, this is a controlled environment governed by IGMP, the Internet Group Management Protocol.
So break down the routing architecture for me, because this is where the true elegance of IPTV really lies.
Okay, let us visualize the problem. If a telecommunications provider has 1 million subscribers who all want to watch the Super Bowl live,
Right.
sending 1 million individual, completely separate streams from the main server, which is a process called unicast, would instantly crush the core network under the immense bandwidth load.
It would just be a catastrophic failure. The servers would melt.
Essentially, yes. So they use multicast instead. Multicast is the solution here.
Okay, so how does multicast avoid melting the servers?
The source server sends exactly one single stream of the Super Bowl into the core network. Just one. As that stream travels down the digital highway, it reaches network routers operating on a protocol called PM, or Protocol Independent Multicast.
PM routers. Got it.
These PM routers only duplicate and split that single stream at the exact intersections necessary to reach the specific viewers who actually requested it.
But the router is basically blind, right? It needs a mechanism to know who actually wants the stream in the first place.
Yes, exactly. And that mechanism is IGMP.
Right. So the set-top box sitting under your television, that is the IGMP host, and the telecom router in your neighborhood is the IGMP router.
Correct. So when you press Channel 7 on your remote control, you aren't just tuning a passive radio frequency like an old TV antenna.
You are actively sending a command to the network.
You are sending an IGMP join message. Your box essentially tells the router, I want to become a member of the multicast group for Channel 7. The router registers your IP address, taps into the existing stream, and starts duplicating the packets down your specific line.
And when you switch to Channel 8...
Your box sends a leave message for Channel 7 and a completely new join message for Channel 8.
Okay, now wait. I am struggling with the logic here in the Juniper Networks documentation, because they draw a massive distinction between IGMP version 2 and version 3.
Ah, yes.
The version conflict. Because with IGMP version 2, which is RFC 2236, changing a channel requires two entirely separate actions. You have to send a leave message to a specific IP address, 224.0.0.2,
Right.
and then send a totally separate membership report to join the new channel. That eats up milliseconds, which creates channel surfing lag.
It does.
But IGMP version 3 allows your device to send one single elegant message to a new address, 224.0.0.22, containing both the leave and join commands at the same time.
Yes, it combines them into a single packet.
So if version 3 is so mathematically superior and so much faster, why on earth is the global telecom industry still stubbornly clinging to the slower version 2?
Haha. Well, it is the eternal agonizing curse of telecom engineering. Legacy hardware.
Just cheaping out on the old boxes.
Exactly. The packet format for IGMP version 3 is entirely different and vastly more complex. It requires the intermediate network devices, the DSLAM sitting in the cabinets on your street corner, to perform deep packet inspection to actually read the version 3 group records.
Which takes serious processing power.
Precisely. An older, cheaper DSLAM, built for version 2, literally lacks the physical memory and the CPU to parse a version 3 packet.
Oh, wow.
So if a network operator upgrades their core routers to version 3, but even a fraction of their neighborhood nodes are still running version 2 hardware, the entire network architecture is forced to default to the lowest common denominator to maintain backward compatibility.
That is so annoying. So we have these brilliant, lightning-fast digital highways, and we are forcing everyone to drive on them in golf carts just because someone didn't want to spend the capital to upgrade a metal box from 2015.
Well, it's deeply frustrating from an engineering perspective, yes.
It's so absurd. It's beautiful, but it's completely absurd. But you know what? While the network engineers were arguing over backward compatibility and deep packet inspection, the entrepreneurs were figuring out how to actually monetize the content flowing through those painfully slow packets.
Yes. The business model.
Which brings us back to that frustrated dad searching for Elmo.
Ilya Polzin.
So 2013, the internet has basically trained us that on-demand is king, right? You want it, you click it. But Posen realizes that giving consumers infinite choice actually paralyzes them. The paradox of choice causes massive decision fatigue. People don't want to constantly search and click.
They're too tired from their actual lives.
Exactly. They want the curated, lean-back experience of traditional broadcast TV, but delivered over this new IP infrastructure. So he teams up with Tom Ryan and Nick Groove. And Groove is a heavy hitter, okay?
Very much so.
Yale, Harvard, McKinsey. He founded Firefly, sold it to Microsoft. These guys realized they can essentially resurrect the TV guide.
They conceptualized the FAST model. Free, ad-supported streaming TV.
Right.
And what is truly fascinating about their early execution in 2014 is that Pluto TV employed 15 human curators.
I still can't believe this part.
Their entire professional mandate was to manually watch internet videos all day and curate them into distinct, live, linear channels.
I would have killed for that job in my 20s. Just sitting there, legally required to watch cat videos and fail compilations all day to program the Comedy Channel.
Haha. It sounds idyllic, but the business model they structured around those curators was what actually changed the entire industry.
Break that down, because it was a huge shift from YouTube.
It was. If you were a premium content provider at the time with a massive back catalog of older shows, say MTV or Lionsgate, and you put your videos on YouTube, YouTube dictated a 45-55 revenue split.
They took a huge cut.
Pluto TV bypassed that entirely. They approached those legacy media companies and offered a straightforward 50-50 revenue split on all ad impressions.
Just a clean split.
Clean and simple. They show 30 to 60-second commercials when you switch channels and up to 3 minutes of in-content ads. It was an incredibly lucrative proposition for studios whose old television properties were just gathering dust in a vault somewhere.
It worked so well that in January 2019, Viacom looked at Pluto TV and just bought them out for $340 million in pure cash. $340 million.
Yeah.
For a company founded on the premise that human beings are literally just too tired to click a mouse.
It is a stunning validation of consumer psychology. Truly stunning.
It really is.
But, of course, whenever a digital pipe becomes that incredibly valuable, well, someone is going to try to siphon the water.
Oh, absolutely. Which brings us to the dark side of this entire infrastructure.
Piracy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a closed coaxial cable system running into your living room anymore. It's internet protocol. It's inherently vulnerable. And the success of Pluto and the FAST model basically painted a massive glowing target on IPTV.
The illegal IPTV market right now is a sprawling, multi-billion-dollar underworld.
And it's so hard to spot sometimes. The illegal distributors have evolved to the point where their user interfaces are virtually indistinguishable from legitimate providers.
They are very sophisticated. However, there are glaring red flags if you know what to look for.
Like the pricing.
Yes. The primary indicator is the sheer mathematics of licensing. If an IPTV service is offering you 10,000 premium channels, encompassing every live international sports feed, pay-per-view events, and first-run theatrical movies, all for $10 a month,
it's completely impossible.
The licensing costs make that an absolute economic impossibility. It is an illegal operation.
Right. And they always want you to pay in Bitcoin or like wire transfers to some shell company in Cyprus. There are never any verifiable corporate addresses.
Never.
But people do it anyway. They think, oh, I'm sticking it to the cable companies as a victimless crime. Who cares? I'm getting cheap sports.
Which is a very dangerous assumption.
Very. Because when you connect an unverified illegal set-top box to your home network. You are essentially opening the front door of your digital life and just leaving it wide open for whoever.
The risks to the end user are severe and deeply misunderstood by the general public. These illegal services are notorious vectors for malware.
Right, because you're bypassing all this security.
You are funneling traffic from unauthenticated servers directly through your local network. Your browsing data, your banking credentials, everything becomes susceptible to interception.
Not to mention the legal trouble.
Furthermore, global internet service providers are aggressively cracking down. They utilize traffic analysis to identify illegal streams and will unceremoniously suspend your internet access.
Just cut you off completely.
Yes, authorities are orchestrating massive sweeps, confiscating illegal hardware, and levying catastrophic fines against end users.
Which means the legal IPTV providers are locked in this constant, exhausting arms race. They have to build these massive, complex digital fortresses to protect their streams from being intercepted and restreamed.
The security architecture is immense.
I was reading the ITUT recommendation S.1191 document on security architecture late last night.
Oh, wonderful bedtime reading.
Right. But I have to admit, I became weirdly obsessed with the terminology in it. Scrambling algorithms. Scrambling algorithms. I just kept saying it to my empty apartment. It sounds like a made-up phrase from a 1995 hacker movie. You know, hack the mainframe. Bypass the scrambling algorithms.
Well, while it does sound very cinematic, it is an acutely accurate technical description of the cryptographic process.
Scrambling algorithms, it's so good.
The X.1191 architecture dictates that content protection relies on highly advanced digital rights management, or DRM.
You know, I have to say, you have this incredibly sexy understanding of DRM protocols. It's genuinely very impressive how you just roll that off the tongue.
Oh. Well, thank you. Yes. Well, the DRM is paramount here.
Go on, tell me about the scrambling.
The ITU basically says you cannot just lock the video content once and walk away. If a pirate intercepts the IP packets midstream, they cannot render the video because the architecture employs algorithms like CBC, which is cipher block chaining, or OFB, output feedback.
So break that down for me. How does CBC actually scramble the video?
Cipher block chaining is brilliant. It takes the encrypted output of the first block of data and mathematically chains it to the next unencrypted block.
Wait, so it links them together?
Exactly. Every single block of video relies on the cryptographic integrity of the block immediately preceding it. And the keys to decrypt these blocks are continuously rotating on the fly, multiple times a minute.
Oh my God, really?
Yes. If a pirate misses even a millisecond of the key exchange or drops a single packet, the entire chain breaks and the video stream instantly turns into unwatchable digital garbage.
Unwatchable digital garbage. God, I love that so much. It's just outsmarting them at every millisecond.
It is highly effective.
But they don't just scramble it, right? They also trace it. The content tracing technology in this document absolutely blew my mind. Watermarking.
Yes. The X.1191 guidelines require the insertion of invisible metadata directly into the elementary stream of the video.
Invisible metadata.
If an illegal syndicate manages to crack a stream and rebroadcasts it, the legitimate provider can extract that invisible watermark from the pirated feed.
And what does it tell them?
That metadata will tell them the exact subscriber account and the precise serial number of the set-top box that initially decrypted the stream. They can pinpoint the leak to a specific living room anywhere on Earth.
It's incredible. They literally know exactly who betrayed them.
They do.
And the hardware itself is heavily guarded too. The terminal devices, the legal set-top boxes require multi-factor authentication with the delivery network gateway to prevent DOS attacks.
Yes, the DNG is heavily protected.
And the boxes have physical tamper resistance. Like if some crypto bro tries to physically pry open a legal box with a screwdriver to extract the decryption keys from the motherboard, the hardware detects a physical breach, permanently deletes the keys, and just bricks itself.
It is a literal self-destruct mechanism for copyright protection.
It's amazing. Let me ask you this, though, because I see this all the time. What about the resellers?
Ah, the reseller market.
You see these ads all over social media. Start your own IPTV business today. Buy my reseller panel.
Is reselling inherently illegal, or is there a legitimate gray area here because it feels like a massive glaring loophole in the whole system?
That is a critical distinction to make. The act of reselling itself is not inherently illegal.
A legitimate, licensed provider, like a major telecommunications company, can authorize third-party vendors to sell legal subscriptions. However, the illegal market has entirely weaponized the reseller model.
Weaponize it how?
A master pirate will decrypt a feed, set up a massive illegal server farm, and then sell reseller panels for a few $100s. This allows an average person to create their own branded illicit IPTV service and sell subscriptions to their friends.
It's a digital multi-level marketing scheme.
It is exactly that. It is a pyramid scheme of rampant copyright infringement.
Wow.
And the rule of thumb for the consumer is absolute here. If your reseller cannot furnish clear, auditable proof that their parent network holds the actual multi-million-dollar broadcast licenses for the content, they are selling you stolen property, full stop.
Unbelievable. Just absolute grifters. Okay, so we've established that the illegal networks are basically trying to infect your router with malware and steal your banking info.
Yes, the risks are substantial.
But, and here is where we get into the really messy reality of modern television. What about the legal networks?
The legal ones.
What about the massive fast platforms we were literally just praising 20 minutes ago? Because let me tell you, I pulled a privacy scan on Pluto TV, and wow, just wow.
The transition from illegal data theft to legal data harvesting is a profound ethical pivot, isn't it? We are now entering the fast wars and the inherent privacy dilemma of free streaming.
Right. Because we all know the old Silicon Valley adage. If you aren't paying for the product, you are the product.
You are paying with your data.
Pluto TV is completely free to the consumer. So I looked at this App Store privacy scan conducted on April 1st, 2026 for the Pluto app. Listen, hey, they are using 18 third-party SDKs. 18.
Software development kits, yes.
Yes, SDKs. And for you listening, if you don't know, an SDK is basically a prepackaged black box of code that developers drop into their app to save time.
It is efficient for development.
But those black boxes are built by massive tech conglomerates. Pluto has Google AdMob, they have Braze, they have Firebase Analytics, they have Eubora.
All integrated directly into the application.
And what are these SDKs actually doing? They're requesting 6 major permissions on your phone, including app tracking transparency, your Bluetooth, and your frickin' microphone.
Well, the developer documentation attempts to justify the microphone permission by stating it is used exclusively to listen for an ultrasonic PIN when connecting to nearby Chromecast devices.
Oh, sure it is. We just need to hear the Chromecast. I promise we aren't listening to you argue with your spouse. Come on.
It is a broad permission.
Listen to what else they are tracking. Your precise location, your contact info, your search history, your device identifiers, and your usage data across other companies' apps and websites.
Cross-app tracking.
Cross-app tracking. They are building a massive, terrifyingly granular behavioral profile on you. And honestly, I'm sorry, but this triggers me. It really, really does.
It is a significant amount of data, yeah.
Because this is exactly what my fucking ex did.
Wait, your ex-partner utilized 18 SDKs to monitor your behavior?
No. Obviously not SDKs, but the tracking, the obsessive, pervasive monitoring, always checking my location on their phone, looking over my shoulder to see who I was texting, constantly trying to build this weird psychological profile of my daily movements so they could predict what I was going to do next.
Oh, I see the parallel you are drawing.
It's the exact same toxic energy.
Yeah.
Pluto TV is acting like a manipulative, toxic ex-partner. Oh, you thought you were just relaxing watching an episode of Cops? No, sweetie, I need to know where you were before you opened the app. I'm going to leave the microphone on just in case.
That is a deeply emotive, albeit legally complex analogy.
It's insane. We are fully normalizing a surveillance state in exchange for free reruns of SpongeBob.
But from a purely economic standpoint, the FAST model demands that level of intrusion. The advertisers funding Pluto TV are not paying for generic broadcast-era airtime.
But they want the data.
They are paying for highly targeted deterministic impressions based precisely on those cross-app behavioral profiles. And that data imperative is driving the current bloodbath in the streaming wars. Because Pluto isn't alone. Look at Tubi.
Tubi. Do not even get me started on Tubi. Fox bought them, what, a few years ago?
Yes, and Tubi has taken a fundamentally different approach. While Pluto heavily pushes its curated linear channels to simulate old-school cable, Tubi went massive on VOD, video on demand.
Just a giant library.
They boast a staggering library of 300,000 movies and television episodes. They just ingest content relentlessly, and the strategy is working. By late 2025, Tubi captured 6.2% of all ad-supported streaming viewing.
6.2%, that's huge.
They are entirely outpacing the ad-supported tiers of premium giants like Netflix, Peacock, and Max. The Roku channel is performing similarly well.
But Paramount is freaking out, so they are trying to integrate Pluto, right?
Exactly. Paramount CEO David Ellison announced a massive overhaul for summer 2026, relaunching Pluto TV directly onto the Paramount Plus platform.
To consolidate it all.
They want a unified technology stack. And what is most telling is that Paramount reported Pluto's VOD viewing, meaning people actively selecting a show rather than just surfing live channels, increased by 60% year over year.
Because advertisers drastically prefer VOD. If you manually select a specific movie, your intent is higher. You are paying way more attention than if you just left a linear channel running in the background while you fold your laundry.
Precisely. The engagement metrics are vastly superior.
Okay, but seriously, I need to push back on this. Answer me this.
Go ahead.
If they're using my microphone and they know my search history and they're tracking my location across the internet to sell to advertisers, is the service actually free? Or am I literally paying for it with my digital soul?
Is anything truly free? We trade privacy for convenience every single minute of the day. The SDKs, the software, data. Wait, what was it?
Kits, development kits.
Kits, right? The development kits. The SDKs are the toll booth. We willingly lock ourselves inside the panopticon because it's comfortable and it has NCIS on demand.
Yes.
You know what? You are right. Love is a surveillance state and television is a toxic X.
Yes. Thank you. You see it. You're brilliant. You know that.
Yeah.
You just synthesized my entire emotional breakdown into an actual academic thesis.
I am simply beginning to realize the profound, terrifying philosophical implications of targeted advertising.
It's all connected. It really is. Which leads us, oh my God, I know this transition is terrible, but I genuinely don't care. Right now, it leads us to the final piece of the puzzle.
The final piece.
We know how the TV gets to us. We map the whole IGMP packet highway thing.
Yeah.
We know they're watching us watch it through the little SDK spies in our phones. But why do we let them?
Why do we watch?
Why are we glued to it? Why do we watch so much of it, knowing all this?
This is where we have to examine the Carolyn Wilson study, and I must admit, reading this study late last night, it really affected me.
It was heavy.
It analyzed 94 participants to explore the intricate relationships between binge-watching behavior, content familiarity, depression, and anxiety.
94 people. And they didn't just, ask them if they were sad. They used serious metrics.
Yes.
The CESD scale for depression and the scared scale for anxiety.
Yeah.
And I was reading the methodology, and they had to do a square root transformation of the CESD scores because of positive skewness.
Ah, yes, the positive students.
Explain that to the listener, because that math is actually beautiful to me right now.
It is statistically vital. Positive skewness in depression data means that the vast majority of people reported relatively low depression, but a small handful of participants reported such intensely severe depression that pulled the entire average upward.
Right, it distorts the graph.
It distorts it with a long tail on the right side. You cannot run a standard regression analysis on a skewed curve like that.
So they compress it?
Exactly. They apply a square root transformation. It mathematically compresses those extreme high scores, pulling the long tail inward, creating a normalized bell-shaped curve so the researchers can actually see the true underlying relationships in the data.
That is just... It's so elegant, compressing the extremes to find the truth. I love that.
It is elegant, and the truth they found completely shatters conventional wisdom. The multiple regression analysis showed that age, content familiarity, and the viewing context significantly predicted depression.
And anxiety, interestingly, was only predicted by age.
Yes. Older participants were significantly less anxious.
Because they've seen it all and they just don't give a shit anymore. But the familiarity bucker, this is the part that blew my mind. I genuinely think this is one of the most profound psychological insights I have ever read.
The study empirically demonstrated that binge-watching familiar content actually lowers depression score.
It lowers it. Society constantly screams at us that TV is destroying our brains, that binge-watching is making us isolated and miserable and disconnected, but this data says no.
The data contradicts the assumption, yes.
If you watch a show you already know by heart, it provides a measurable emotional buffer against the despair of reality.
It perfectly validates the theory of social surrogacy, which Steven Pinker proposed back in 1997.
Social surrogacy.
The human brain is evolutionarily wired for community. When we lack it, we suffer. Pinker argued that we can use television characters to replace direct personal interaction and alleviate loneliness.
Wow.
When you watch a familiar show, your brain chemistry reacts as if you were spending time with old friends. It provides a stable, flawlessly predictable environment where you know exactly how every narrative conflict will resolve. It is a simulated safety net.
Listen to me. I need to confess something to you and to you listening right now, because there are nights, honestly, so many nights lately, where I just feel completely fucking overwhelmed.
It's a very common feeling.
And I sit alone in my apartment in the dark, and I open the Pluto app, and I turn on the 24/7 Wipeout channel.
Wipeout, the physical obstacle course program with the mud.
Yes, Wipeout. Just random people getting absolutely launched by giant red bouncy balls into pools of mud over and over and over again. And I will sit there, completely alone, watching it for 4 hours straight.
I see.
And I always beat myself up about it. I sit there thinking, you are a loser. Your life is a mess. You are isolating yourself from the world.
But this study...
But this study specifically found that watching television alone was associated with reduced depression scores. It challenges the entire assumption about social isolation. I'm not isolating, I'm self-medicating with giant red bouncy balls.
The data supports your coping mechanism. It explicitly supports it. The regression analysis found that participants who typically watched television alone reported lower depression scores than those who watched with others.
Amazing.
The coefficient was negative 1.30. That is a statistically significant decrease. Your Wipeout marathons are an empirically validated therapeutic intervention.
Wait, hold on. Push back on myself right now. If watching familiar shows alone reduces depression, isn't binge watching just a highly effective, completely free form of therapy? Why am I paying a therapist hundreds of dollars a month when I can just watch Wipeout for free on Pluto TV?
Well, the researchers do note critical limitations. It is a cross-sectional study, meaning the data was collected at a single point in time. Therefore, we cannot definitively prove causation.
Oh, the causation loop.
Does binge-watching familiar content reduce depression, or do people who already have lower baseline depression simply prefer familiar content? We cannot mathematically prove the direction of the effect.
Right.
But honestly, no. Listen to me. You are a genius for making that connection. Social surrogacy is real. The television is the surrogate.
It is the surrogate. We are all just lonely, terrified animals looking for comfort. Wait, now I'm contradicting myself entirely.
How so?
An hour ago, I was screaming that Pluto TV is a toxic ex-partner tracking my data across 18 SDKs, and now I'm crying and saying it's my free, loving therapist, which is it.
It is both. It is a profoundly toxic, surveillance-heavy therapist. It watches you, analyzing your vulnerabilities while you watch it to soothe those exact same vulnerabilities. It is the most perfect, dystopian, symbiotic relationship imaginable.
God, you synthesize this shit so well. You really do. I don't need a digital social surrogate when I have you here explaining standard deviations and regression analyses to me at 2 in the morning.
I am very glad to be your non-virtual surrogate for this deep dive. The data is clear. Human connection, even when it is heavily mediated by deep packet inspections and IGMP routing, is absolutely essential for survival.
Oh man, wow. Okay. I'm feeling a lot right now. We have to transition to the conclusion before I start sobbing into this microphone. Let's bring this chaotic, beautiful journey to a close.
We must summarize the ecosystem.
Okay. So, we started with the cold, hard architecture, the fiber optics, the ADSL, the incredibly elegant IGMP version 3 protocols, sending out those multicast joins on 224.0.0.22, desperately connecting the network.
Then we looked at the fast platforms, Pleo TV, Viacom, Tubi.
The 18 SDKs tracking our every move, mathematically monetizing our attention.
And we ended in the vulnerabilities of the human mind. The familiar content acting as a vital social surrogate for our lonely brains, buffering us against the profound depression of the modern world.
It truly is a complete ecosystem. From the copper wire to the emotional core, it's the greatest deep dive we've ever done. I genuinely, truly believe that. It's so important.
It feels very important right now. Everything feels incredibly connected.
So here's my final provocative thought for you, the listener.
Yes.
If television characters are our social surrogates, and if we are constantly, obsessively seeking out familiar content to soothe our anxiety, are we, as humans, just walking through life sending out our own IGMP membership reports to the universe?
Oh, wow.
Are we all just constantly transmitting a join message into the dark, desperately trying to find a multicast group so we don't have to be alone?
That is really beautiful. We are all just seeking a multicast group.
Cheers to that. Thank you for listening to Off the Record. You are all wonderful.
Thank you, truly. Goodbye, everyone. Be safe, be well.
Good night. We love you.